blacks on Latinos on their boards. We didn't know how good baseball could be till everybody could play. We didn't know how good high tech can be till everybody could play.
Greetings, everybody. It's Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr., the Executive Director of the West Coast Silicon Valley Bay Area.
We have concerns about boards of directors. Companies like eBay and Google in the Valley, no blacks on all the Latinos on their boards. We didn't know how good baseball could be till everybody could play. We don't know how good high tech can be till everybody can play.
Greetings, everybody. It's Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr., the Executive Director of the West Coast Silicon Valley Bay Area office for Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson and the Rainbow Push Coalition. And we are inviting everyone to our 8th annual Push Tech Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Conference. Wow, we are so excited. We are going back in person for the first time since 2019. We will be live and in living color at Cisco in Silicon Valley.
We could bring to pass the vision of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr., and that is equality even in the tech industry, so that the bad hand that we had been dealt with can be replaced by a good hand of equality of opportunities.
We are looking forward to a wonderful 2-day experience, and we want all of you to be there in Silicon Valley at Cisco May 8th and 9th with Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson and Rainbow Push Tech 2023.
This is so exciting for us, and we are so grateful to be in this space and to reconvene the family, to reconvene all of our partners, all of our collaborators, all of our friends that have worked with us over the years to move forward diversity, equity, inclusion here in Silicon Valley and throughout the tech industry under the leadership of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. And tonight, here we are, and we are one big happy family. I am Joseph Bryant Jr., the Executive Director of our West Coast Work and Push Tech and Silicon Valley office, and it is a joy to be here. And we want to thank our amazing host, Cisco. They've already rolled out the red carpet for us. Haven't we had a wonderful evening already? Cisco's done an amazing job, and we're going to have a great night. This is going to be a very, very special night for a lot of reasons, not just because it's the first time gathering together since the pandemic. The last time we had an in-person event was 2019. The last few years we've had our Push Tech events virtually only, 2020, 2021, 2022. But here we are back in living color, masks off, looking good, healthy, strong, and happy to be here. I need you to do something really quick because you know, even though I am leading this work, I still am a gospel preacher. So I need you to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, you look good tonight. Let me just say to you, what you were watching as we walked in the room was a part of our evolving work. That was a display of the metaverse, and that was a demo of a tour of the White House narrated by President Barack Obama. And that is one of the many projects we've been able to partner in to do over these past few years as emerging technology takes over our world. You may have seen some of the tech out front. I saw some of you with your Oculus glasses on. I saw you out there taking advantage of some of our tech partners that wanted to show us the wonderful things that are happening in emerging tech. And let me tell you what's happening in this room right now. You need to know that this is a special space that we're in because we are live streaming through drones tonight. We are not plugged into a traditional system. We don't have a traditional AV. We have drone cameras that are set throughout the room that are picking us up and airing us around the country, including to headquarters back in Chicago. So here from the West Coast, can you make some noise so Chicago can hear you? for all of you being here. And before we move forward, let me just say a particular word of thanks on behalf of Reverend Jackson. He has been such a champion in so many of our lives. So many of us have stories, and throughout tonight, we're all going to touch on those stories about Reverend Jackson. As you all know, for the past 6+ years, he's been battling Parkinson's. And when I say battling, I mean battling. He is not letting that disease slow him down or stop him from doing the work. But every now and then, the doctor slows him down and tells him that this week is not a week you need to do too much because we want you to be in optimum health. So Reverend Jackson, you're watching us right now from headquarters, and this room is a room of Keep Hope Alive advocates who love you so much. Can you all say, we love you, Reverend Jackson? We love you, Reverend. Make some noise for Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. I want to bring up really quickly one of the partners that we have worked with, and we got a chance to connect with this young man and his youth program called Street Code. Come on, Brother Tunde, we want to just show you some love real quick. You all may have seen him outside with his Oculus guys. Show him some love real quick. Thank you. His program has been equipping young people on the front lines and cutting edge of technology. He's actually leaving now to go teach a group of a couple hundred kids tonight. But I asked him to come here first, show us what he's been doing, and say good evening. So Tunde, say good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So I want to say a couple of things. First, I'm not a technologist, so I wouldn't be able to do the work that I'm doing without people who really know and love that craft. And we have an army full right in East Palo Alto. But 2 of them are here with us, and I want to thank Imani and Daniel for coming out. You don't know why you're clapping, but Imani's San Jose raised, and Daniel's actually his birthday today, so I think that's very meaningful that he came out. I wanted to I'm glad, Pastor, that you allowed me to just say a public thank you for Reverend Jackson and for Push Tech for 2 main reasons. The first is that I was 19, about 18 years old at Stanford University. I came from Portland, Oregon, raised in a Christian household that really gave me a value for serving. Now, as you grow older, that evolved into my understanding of civil rights. And so I came to Stanford asking, like, what's going to be our civil rights issue of our era? Mm-hmm. And it was Jesse Jackson and Butch Wing, who's in here, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for Butch because Butch was leading the office in
Butch Wing, everybody.
Butch Wing, there he is. So in 1999, I'm a young 18, 19-year-old who's asking this big question, what's it going to be, right? And it was those folks who had a conference much like this who were saying that the digital divide was our issue of our era. Jesse Jackson, and I still remember this, I repeat it often and give the credit where it's due, we're on our 4th civil rights struggle. For black people in America, fought and won freedom from slavery, fought and won freedom from legal segregation, fought and won the right to vote, and now it was a time to be economically included. And the pathway to that was technology. So here was a Chicago-based civil rights leader that was coming and setting up an office in Silicon Valley, and that was powerful. It stuck with me. It gave me an answer to the question I was seeking for and put me on what has now been a 20+ year sort of journey to try and make some difference in that. So I appreciate Reverend Jackson for that. The second thing I appreciate is that he came back about 10 years later, and he was speaking at City Hall. Lisa Gaucher, in fact, our mayor in East Palo Alto, was here. And I was from Portland, Oregon. I was raised there, and I married a woman who's from Dallas, Texas. And we're looking for a home. We have now 4 kids. Our oldest is 18 years old. And so we were looking back then for what would be a home. And Reverend Jackson said something else that really stuck. And he said this. He said that as the world was fighting for voting rights, it took a small city in Alabama to galvanize the world's attention on the power of civil rights. And that was Selma, Alabama. Absolutely. And we know what Selma did. It did capture the attention. And it was a small city. It wasn't Chicago. It wasn't Atlanta. This is Reverend Jackson saying it's way better than I could. But it captivated me. And what he said was this journey for the civil rights issue of technology was going to be galvanized by this small city called East Palo Alto.
My.
East Palo Alto was our generation, Selma, is what he said. And it was so powerful because he said it's a well-organized, powerful community of color positioned right in the heart of Silicon Valley. to really showcase the inequity that is current, but also the possibility of what happens when a community like that does get the opportunity.
That's right.
We see what happens when Selma was given that kind of empowerment and what they did, the courage and the foresight and the vision, and that's the same thing that existed in East Palo Alto. And so it was from there that we started just a journey of doing and trying to empower that community. And so I'm very thankful to report that because of that inspiration that Reverend Jackson gave, because of the support that we've gotten from Push Tech and several others, some of you are in this room, that we were able to now not just be able to continue to give the in-person training and the deep training that we've been doing in East Palo Alto. We just got back doing the same virtual reality, the same generative AI, the same work that we just showcased and we showcased that across the entire country. We just got back from LA, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, and we're doing an East Coast trip in October. So we're literally doing what was seeded by this initiative. That what can happen in East Palo Alto can be something that resonates throughout the entire country. And I'm just grateful to know that there's a room full of folks who are building their own businesses. There are a room full of folks who are investing in businesses. There are a room full of folks who are inventing and who are advocating for the same kind of social cause that really moved me. So just wanted to say thank you. And although I'm leaving, the spirit is here, and Street Code is here, East Palo Alto is here, and just we salute and thank y'all.
Come on, there you go.
Thank you for that time. Yeah, that shit.
Tunde means so much to our community, and I'm so grateful he was able to come and share. And we've been able to do programs like that over these past several years. And as Reverend Jackson sowed that seed into him, there are other programs, and some of them we're going to acknowledge tonight. We're going to be honoring some giants in this room that have done amazing work in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's what tonight is all about, family. So I know you've had some heavy hors d'oeuvres. I don't want you to lean back too much in these couch seats. You know, I know they're real comfortable, but we're going to move quickly. I know some of y'all may want to check out a basketball game later on tonight. I'm aware of all the things we're contending with. Therefore, we're going to continue this program, and I'm so grateful for Kevin Nichols and this amazing program, Science in the City. It's something to see when you decide to take what you've gained, what you've learned, what you've experienced, and pour it back into a generation that needs it a whole lot. So before we do this quick conversation, I want you all to check out the screens to see what this work is all about.
Here's something we like. Not all the news in our community is bad news. Tonight, we meet two men, a Stanford professor and a diversity leader at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. We see what can happen when two high school buddies put their heads together to make a difference. Here's NBC's Cheryl Hurd.
Kevin Nichols loves the Bay Area. That's why he is investing in it in his way, by reaching out to Black and brown students and introducing them to science.
Someone from Berkeley Lab just won a Nobel Peace Prize in physics. If we don't get African American students particularly interested in chemistry and physics and math and science, no one's going to really pursue the next item, the next scientific discovery, because there's no incentive to.
10 years ago, he didn't know his high school friend had the same thoughts, but he soon found that out. Back in 2012, Stanford Graduate School of Education professor and former science teacher, Dr. Brian Brown, was awarded a grant from the National Science Foundation to teach students from historically Black colleges and universities culturally relevant STEM curriculum that he developed for middle school-aged students. As a byproduct of this research, these students would lead a week-long day camp at Stanford that he coined Science in the City.
We want our young people to see themselves as future physicians, biologists, biochemists, engineers, and the only way to do that is to give them experiences early on.
Dr. Brown needed middle school students to participate in the camp, and that's where he tapped his high school friend, Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory diversity leader, Kevin Nichols, to help attract students to participate in the program.
I have a pretty decent network, so when I put it out there, we got a lot of students to participate.
I find that young people love science, they just don't know it yet. And so part of the joke is that if you leave a kid with us for a week, we're going to send you home with the scientists.
Brian and Kevin secured a grant to run the Science in the City for 2 years. The grant money ran out in the third year.
There aren't a lot of companies that really want to invest in chemistry and physics and traditional engineering. So we have to reshape the way we look at the future.
Eventually, Nichols was able to secure funding from Google, allowing the social engineering project to continue. The emphasis is on getting Black and brown students who would normally not get exposed to science interested. The project sponsors camps at Stanford and other locations. More money is needed for it to continue.
So in order for us to be able to thrive here in the Bay Area, we need help. You know, we need partnerships with tech companies. We need municipalities and county and state organizations to support us.
That financial support will help expose young people like Naomi and Troy Coleman to careers they never dreamed of.
This year, when I went to Science in the City, it was extremely fun, and I had so many friends there, and I'd love to continue going to that camp.
When I thought of scientists, I didn't really think of people who look like me. If you can really get into how science applies to our life and the fun things that you get to learn about, it really opened my mind.
So far, this project has opened the minds of a couple thousand underrepresented students of color. The goal is to reach thousands more. Cheryl Hurd, NBC Bay Area News.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Kevin Nichols. Thank you, sir. Have a seat. Wow, that was an amazing, amazing video. Thank you for that kind of passion. Where did it start for you, though? I know you are a diversity and equity leader, but where did it start for you, the passion to begin a work like this, especially with students?
Well, I actually started doing these programs. I got these programs from being a student like that myself. I grew up here in the Bay Area. I went to the MESA program at UC Berkeley, went to St. Mary's High School in Berkeley, and I also participated in Summer Search and some other organizations. And rather than backpacking across the world, I ended up going to Choate Rosemary Hall in Wallingford, Connecticut for my summer, as well as the Math and Science Engineering program at Northwestern. I was in the National Society of Black Engineers. And actually was a student. I was a NSBE Region 6, Go 6.
There you go.
Whose house, as I digress. But I was a Region 6 officer in NSBE, chaired the camping conferences as a college student, and got into that work that way. But what really got me into doing this work was about 10 years ago, actually. USC, San Francisco Foundation and PolicyLink, they had a workshop to show what it would look like 20 years from now in the Bay Area if black people particularly were not in the tech industry. They showed that how much the property values were going up here in Silicon Valley, and people were rushing to move here to live here, and black and brown people who couldn't afford to live here were moving further and further out. So while the school districts here were improving because of those tax dollars, the people who were moving away had to spend extra money on private school and other extracurricular activities to keep their children competitive with those students. So I saw that. Then I came to Push Tech 2025.
Yeah.
And at that particular first conference, Lisa Lambert, who's now a good friend of mine, and the CEO of Intel came to that conference and announced that they were investing $300 million to address the lack of diversity in the tech industry. So I was like, wow, I have ideas to help that. I was like, well, $300 million could help, right? But unfortunately, I guess I was wrong because I didn't get any of that $300 million. But, and I have to give a shout out to my business partner, Dr. Brian Brown, who actually is the founding board member of Street Code Academy.
Wow.
So this brother has been doing this work. He's a professor at Stanford. He's been doing this work for a long time. So I actually didn't get into this work until he asked for me to help him get 50 kids to go to this camp for Stanford. He did everything the first 2 years. I said, Brian, that's 2 Facebook posts for me. So I'm like, do you really need, do you need some help with this? Like, no, Kev, I just need students to participate. That's fine. First 2 years, all I did was Facebook posts. In year 3, I was like, well, we should keep doing this program.
Right. Yeah.
But the tech industry could care less, and we didn't raise $1 year 3. So we did not have Science in the City year 3. So that's when I started rolling up my sleeves to figure out why the tech industry didn't care about kids going to college, majoring in something, you know, math, science, chemistry, physics, or engineering.
Right.
Because if you're going to go into any industry, you've got to get past those subject matters in the beginning, or else no slight to the social scientists in here, because I'm one, but you're going to be a social science major if you don't get past those courses. So that's what I wanted to do. So I ended up getting an investment from Google, and that's how we started the social engineering project.
Right.
Yes.
It's amazing to hear, you know, not only the fact that you were actually just asked to help a project, and you saw the cause, you saw the need, you saw the benefit, you invested your resources, your connections. 2015, our first Push Tech conference, you know, obviously helped spark some things, but here you are now in 2023, and this program is doing an amazing job to impact young. What does it mean to you when you see those young faces? And some of you can identify with this because, you know, Kevin, he spent some time in the East Bay. He sees the young kids who are struggling, trying to find some direction, trying to find their path and trying to stay away from evil forces or negative forces. What does it mean for you to see that child's face when they come to your camp and what you can do? Like that young lady said, how she never thought about what she could be until you all got your hands on her for a couple of weeks.
Well, I'll be completely honest with you. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I have a true story to tell with my wife. We were actually in Napa for a concert weekend, and a woman sat at our table and says, she waited for me kindly to finish eating my food. She said, I didn't want to interrupt you. She's like, but Kevin, I just want to thank you. She said, my daughter just was able to make her deposit for her college this week because you sent out this information to me about this scholarship opportunity.
Wow.
So I raised so much money from your emails that you were sending us. The student attended one of my camps earlier, so I keep whatever information I get, I share. So she told me that one of the reasons why her kid is able to go to this college is because of what we've done to help her. I mean, I almost shed a Denzel Washington cheer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I almost did glory on her, and my wife was over there shooting my makeup. You know, I was like, so I didn't want, you know, so it's that is a testament that it happens all the time, very random places.
Right.
But students that we touch or that we are able to give an opportunity to that wouldn't normally even think about some of the subject matters we expose them to. I have students that went to PG&E or in a remediation program because PG&E came out to teach these students about what Superfund site cleanups were.
Wow.
And then EPA does to make places to be able to be livable on top of again, and what kind of remediation is. They wanted to learn about remediation. Where are you going to learn that from? I understand, no knocking the coding and science and computer science, but we also need black and brown engineers that do a whole bunch of other things.
That's right.
So
it's amazing. So give them a hand for that. I love that. I love that answer. One of the things that we've discovered, even in being in rooms like this, is that a lot of people have a passion to give back, to help, to do something. They don't always know where. They don't always know how. They don't always know where to start. And so just from your experience, how can some of the folks in the room, again, this is a family gathering, how can we begin to think about where we pour some of our energy, resources? I mean, you start off with a Facebook post. All of us, you know, I mean, I'm hoping everybody's moved to IG by now. If you haven't, make that transition. Or do both. Just do something. Because if you want to keep up with anybody, you know, that's under 25, you got to be on IG. But the reality is, you know, it doesn't take much oftentimes to have that kind of impact. What can we do? What can we begin to think about? What can some of our leaders in the room, some of our executives in the room, community advocates, what can we begin to think about and how we can do our part, even in supporting you? Because we want to support programs like this, don't we? Yeah, all right, all right.
So a couple of things. First and foremost, shameless plug. Mark your calendar. You know, October 7th, last year, I took about 125 people to Inglenook Winery in Napa, and we had our end of the year fundraiser. We'll have a couple of people that were in the room that I will point out later that you can talk to and find out about their experience. But it was a
Thank you. All right, got a shout out right there.
wonderful event, and it's a fundraiser to give you some exposure to the work that we're doing. We have corporate sponsors. We also take, individual donations. I look at it this way. I also started out early on supporting President Obama's first run for office. Mm-hmm. And the way that President Obama revolutionized fundraising was that small dollar amounts make a big difference if there are a number of people that are contributing.
That's right.
So you could raise millions of dollars if you had 1 million friends.
That's right.
So I got into networking for the sole reason of I used to walk home every day from school when my mom was at work. I said, wouldn't it be great if I knew enough people that I'm walking on the street that somebody recognizes me and give me a ride? That's how I started I started networking in 7th grade with that. That was the thing. So now I think I might get a ride, if I'm in the East Bay. Now, but so it's that network. So many hands make light work.
That's right.
And so you can go to thesocialengineer.org. The name for my organization, you think of social engineering, you think about stealing passwords and doing things bad online. It actually comes from a quote from Charles Hamilton Houston.
Come on.
He laid down the groundwork from the Brown versus Board of Education cases. He said, a lawyer is either a social engineer or a parasite on society.
My.
So although you don't have to be an engineer or a scientist for the quote to really make sense, we look at it as you're either part of the problem or part of the solution.
Kevin Nichols, everybody, come on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. That was perfect. That's perfect.
Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor. No, I told you we're going to do this tonight, y'all. Turn and say, neighbor. Many hands make light work. I love it. 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 So again, and I want you all to again, be aware of what's happening around us in this space. Again, I can't say enough about just being immersed literally into emerging technology in real time. Just standing here, I'm looking at the cameras and I was over there. I said, oh man, it might be in somebody's camera site. But just to be able to remind myself that this is how far technology is going. These are the things, the things that was shared by Kevin and the things that were shared by Tunde. So many wonderful things that are evolving, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a small part of any of this that's happening, and all of you are part of it. Give yourselves a hand because you're a part of us all going forward, and I thank you for it. Well, I do have to do some business, and so because these cameras are moving, I was told to keep moving around. So here I go to the podium, y'all, all right? Y'all following me? Y'all following me? I'm loving this. So I get to go to the podium now and do an official recognition of one of our honorees. And I'm going to have my wonderful assistant. This is my beautiful daughter, Joy Bryant. And if you know me, you know Joy anyway. You already know that I talk about her and brag about her and my wonderful son all the time. And of course, they are the product of the great genes given to us by my amazing wife. Going to give a shout out to my wife, Kelly Bryant. And I'm thankful for being able to present this award. This is a special award that we have begun to share over the years with people that make a difference in our world. And we met someone a few years ago who happens to be in politics by position, but is truly a change agent, a community leader, and he is one who is on the cutting edge of making a difference. And that is the Vice Mayor of the city of Berkeley, Attorney Ben Bartlett. Show some love for him. Ben and I are going to have a little conversation, but let me stand at the podium and do this portion officially, and then I'll go over there so I can have my conversation with my brother. It says, in recognition and gratitude for your significant role, position, and personal commitment, resulting in an extraordinary amount of powerful and productive community impact that has yielded a continuous flow of residual benefits for the greater good. On this day, May 8th, 2023, Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, founder and president, Rainbow Push Coalition, our Community Leadership Award goes to Vice Mayor Ben Bartlett. Yes, of course. There you go. And you got a fan club over here. You got folks jumping up and cameramen all over, man. Come on. Come on. They didn't even know Berkeley had a vice mayor, man. What you talking? Come on. There you go. All right, there you go. All right. Have a seat.
Wow. Amazing.
Joy's gonna hold the trophy for you for now, though, while we chat.
Thank you so much.
Listen, I'm so thankful for meeting you, and the conversations we've had over the years. He's been one of our most outstanding virtual speakers. I mean, he has just killed it every year, and I'm just grateful for that. And hearing about your leadership, you're considered an advisor to venture capitalists and venture capital organizations. You're considered an ecosystem strategist and leader. You are considered a policy change agent and leader. All these things are now, you can Google them all you want, and you will see these consistently listed. And all of those things in one package as you do all of that because you want to help other people. Talk about how you got to this place and you're using your platform in that way.
Well, thank you. And first, great to see you, and thank you so much, Pastor Bryant. And I want to thank my mentor and really icon of my life, Reverend Jackson. So much of what I do is because of him. I was blessed to grow up with him. So I was in many meetings with him, and I saw him open up Toyota Motors to black ownership of dealerships. I saw him take on the telecom companies. I saw him open up so much black wealth that it changed everything.
Right.
So, I'm from Berkeley, 5 generations. My family migrated west in the late 1800s and made it over there for a better life. It was a brutal fight. We fought along the way. It's very dangerous. And we got to Berkeley, and we got involved. And my grandfather was the first black realtor in California and was responsible for bringing many people into Berkeley and West Oakland and to Richmond and even to L.A. And one thing he taught, my mother and her sisters, one of which you may know, Roscoe Dellums, Ron's wife, my uncle, was that the key to making it is to go against the program. And the program for us has always been to work for free.
My. Come on.
That's what it is. We were brought here for one reason and one reason alone.
That's right.
To work for free.
Come on.
So your job, your number one job, is to get paid.
Say that again. They didn't hear you in the back.
Yeah. Your number one job is to get paid. And so my mother went on and became an activist. We traveled the country, and we went from neighborhood to neighborhood, from Chicago to Atlanta to D.C. to Baltimore to Hartford, Connecticut, Detroit. We stayed in all these public housing places while she organized people as a Black Panther. And I saw it with my own eyes.
Right.
This is what it is. These people are generations of landless people turned loose, no resources, and denied access to resources.
Right.
So, from there, I ended up in Chicago, and that's where I spent time with Jesse Jackson. And one thing he said to me, I was graduating high school. I said, what am I going to do? And he said these words. He said, what would you do if you could do anything?
Wow.
And I thought about it. I didn't know what to say. He said, think about it, Benny. Think about it, Benny. And I still think about it. And everything I do now is about fulfilling those words, because we are in the age of manifestation. We can make anything happen.
Right.
And my job is to fulfill the promises I made to him and my family and all of our families, is to use whatever powers I have to open the doors and use whatever I got, whatever's here, so that we can get in and create a better life for our families.
Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
It's so wonderful to hear how Reverend Jackson impacted your life at such an early point, and now you get to come literally full circle, as we talked in our first few interviews with you, and how Reverend Jackson's work in this space is significant to you, especially as you carve your own path and you're doing all these wonderful, every time we talk, you're starting a new business or you're opening up some other opportunity. Talk about your passion for what the tech industry gives us as it relates to access to opportunities, access to capital, and access to economic stability.
Precisely. So technology is important. And first off, I want to say, it may seem like a remote thing to you, but we are all technologists. Ever since the cotton gin got us off the fields, we've embraced technology.
Come on.
So African Americans are the most early adopter group in the country, from remote controls to beepers, cordless phones, internet, Facebook, Twitter. It goes on and on and on. Metaverse and now AI.
Right.
So we are the people of reinvention. We came here with no name, no language.
Yeah.
We invented ourselves, and we still are. So it's our birthright to own technology, because it is ours.
Can you say that again?
It is our birthright
Repeat after him.
to own technology.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Good
it's,
stuff,
it's
good
not
stuff.
foreign.
Yeah.
These are our tools to extend our reach. So technology is great because it allows you to have a rapid delta, a great advance quickly. That's why it's so powerful, right? We're in this building of Cisco. Thank you, Cisco, for hosting us. They got really rich, enabling technology to move information from one point to another.
That's right.
That's it.
That's
and
right.
look at this.
That's right.
Now, in technology, from my point of view, in public policy, because the laws I write and the initiatives I create are all geared towards leveraging government and business together to have a door for you to be in. So in Berkeley, I've done a bunch of these things, and one was we made a policy for robotic technology to partner with labor unions for low-income kids to learn how to master these robots. That was the first one. We passed a measure to create municipal blockchain municipal bonds. So low-cost bonds that ordinary people could buy and own. Bonds are out of reach for most people. And then have assets, because we're all assetless, right? It's all for that. Health Innovation Zone, where we partner with all the large healthcare providers and technology startups and nonprofits in the community to do new forms of healthcare, because we have the worst health outcomes. So we can start businesses to deliver new forms of care.
Wow.
And it's so simple, too, because even if you're not talking technology, a community healthcare worker, which is an ordinary person from the community, if they go visit you or some person and just sit with them a couple times a week, it lowers the healthcare cost dramatically. More important than anything. And that's a business we can start right now. Right? Telemedicine. So now going forward, and I'm happy, today's a special day. This morning, we passed a measure we've been working on for over a year. It's called FARM. I thought about the black farmers. It's called FARM. It's the Food Access and Resilience Measure. And what this does, it recognizes that the food supply chain set up in America is broken, and that we have the highest incidence of food insecurity. And we buy the bad food anyway. And so we are reliant upon these supermarkets that we don't own, and these farmers and their crop choice, and the impacts of climate change, war, pricing, inflation, et cetera, breaking our banks to the point where now food costs and healthcare costs are the greatest drivers of bankruptcy in America. And that's double time for us. So we created a new model where we incentivize the creation of high-tech agriculture to come to Berkeley, set up big food towers, 10-story buildings, and grow new food. Advanced hydroponics, super greens, where a teaspoon is equal to 7 heads of cabbage. High caliber mushroom protein, where the mushrooms is more protein than a 12-ounce steak. All geared towards having startups in the community come work there, kids in the neighborhood come learn how to farm in this new context, machine learning, robotic stuff, and then having nonprofits and food banks that serve the community get this food. And the deal is this: we're going to give them incentives from the city, tax incentives, et cetera.
Say that again.
We're going to give them incentives, tax incentives.
Tax incentives.
Yes, tax incentives, right?
You didn't miss that part.
Yeah, exactly. And so in exchange for those incentives, if there is a food interruption the city of Berkeley gets first dibs on their entire crop. And so that's how we ensure resilience and stability for our community and make sure the door is open for our people to be in that new business. And this is a new industry.
That's right.
The new food industry is coming.
It's coming.
So I'm proud of that we passed it this morning. Thank you.
Let's give a hand to the vice mayor, y'all. I don't know if there's any housing available in Berkeley, but you want to have a leader like this, show him some love, everybody. Come on. He's actually going to be on one of our panels tomorrow, and so we're excited to hear more about his diversity, equity, and inclusion work as well, as he'll share in tomorrow. Take out your cell phone for me real quick. I know some of you already had them out. You were doing some pictures, and the game hasn't started yet, so y'all don't have to, like, look away yet. The game hasn't started yet. I'm cognizant of that. Can you text the word push to 41444? It's real easy to remember. So you put 41444 like you're dialing that number, right? 41444 and text the word push. All right? Text the word push. And I don't want you to go through all the follow-up yet, but I want you to have it set up and teed up. So after the game, I want to make sure that you get into our database. Is that all right? All right. Look at your neighbor and say, I think I'm ready. If they didn't look, that's because they're taking too long, so help them out. They're trying to find where they put 41444. They're still looking. They're still looking, but they're almost there. Listen, how many of you were with us in the very first Push Tech conference that we had in 2015? How many of you were there? All right. Thank you all. You're back again with us. Thank you so much. How many of you all came to any of our subsequent in-person events, 2016, 17, 18, or 19? As we kind of went from San Francisco, we worked our way back down. Very good, very good. And how many of you participated in some of our virtual conferences? Let me see your hands. All right. And how many of you are never going to miss another Push Tech conference from this year forward? All right. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. There you go. We do have quite a few alumni from those events, and I'm really thankful for you being here and what it means to our continued ecosystem of people. And let me just say, and as much as I'm grateful for the partnership with Cisco, Facebook, now known as Meta, has been with us this entire journey as well. And I know that it has been meaningful to Reverend Jackson. They actually have hosted several types of meetings right there on that campus in Menlo Park. They have allowed us to come onto their grounds and talk with them about diversity and meet with their executives. And we've been a part of their shareholder meetings, and we've been able to engage with Mr. Zuckerberg, and we were able to be a part of some of their evolving thoughts around what has now become the metaverse. That's no accident that they are called Meta, because we've moved into the metaverse. And so I want to make sure that you all realize what the metaverse is all about. And so we're going to hear from, and I've got to do this, and she asked me not to, but I need to introduce our next speaker, and we're just going to have a quick conversation about the metaverse, because you all need to be ready. Look at your neighbor and say, get ready, get ready, get ready. So Debbie Rosenbaum has a background that is deep. She is legal counsel. She is a leader of departments. But tonight she said, Pastor, I want to just come in and talk about the metaverse. So can we just chill and talk about the metaverse? I said, absolutely. So Debbie, come on up. Let's have a conversation. Let's welcome from our friends at Meta, Debbie Rosenbaum. I'm going to switch sides so she can show off her Jordans, because I told her I was going to wear mine tonight. It's so great to have you, and it's such a great, great, great partnership we've had with your company. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me and us. It is truly an honor to be here, and we are really glad to be here, so thank you.
You wanted to help educate us a little bit, and we're going to see a metaverse video from some of our Push Excel program in a minute, but I wanted the expert to come talk first a little bit. How would you describe the metaverse to someone who's just hearing about it for the first time?
So I don't know, did you all see Jeopardy a couple weeks ago? So on Jeopardy a couple weeks ago, the metaverse was the final clue. They said, what is the term that is about to describe like the upcoming technology, so much so that one of the big companies has changed their name?
Right.
Nobody got nobody got the answer. So for all of you who are thinking, oh my gosh, this term is saturated, it's everywhere, the answer to anybody who calls on your name and you're like, what's the answer? You're like, metaverse. The answer is metaverse. There's chief metaverse officers out there now. The term isn't actually that saturated because 0 people on Jeopardy actually got the final answer.
Wow.
So what is the metaverse? Today you look at the internet. In the future, you will be part of it. You will be experiencing it. For us, the defining quality of the metaverse is presence. And that really breaks open like a whole bunch of new opportunities and possibilities of defining like what does it mean to break down physical barriers that have faced us for so long. Across so much of the tech evolution, and there have been a whole bunch of evolutions along the way. So if you think about it, we've evolved from PCs to mobile and from sending text to photos to video. In our minds, we're about to move from having these mobile devices to new forms of cloud computing devices. Those will probably look like some form factor of either glasses on your face or another form of physical form factor. That sounds wild and crazy to a lot of us. To your children, it's not crazy.
Right.
That is the future. So what is the internet that's going to support all of those Internet of Things and those glasses? It's the metaverse. You can call it whatever you want, but it's just the next generation of the internet. It's going to be what supports those physical form factors that will make connecting so much more present and meaningful. It's really about the presence.
One of the things that I observed even as we started doing the White House tour with President Obama, you know, we've been able to brag about that and talk about that a lot. But it's like a 3D experience that you get to engage with, right? That's a pretty decent description of it.
That's right. So if you think about like a lot of the experiences you have on the internet today, they invite you to something. So if you are shopping for clothes, you can look at it and maybe like pick something from either Amazon or your favorite shop online. If you go to, let's say you want to like play a game online, you sort of can look at it. What if in the future you were shopping online and you could try the clothes on before they actually got to you?
Wow. Any ladies in here want to try on their clothes at their house?
I don't know, but like for me, that would be incredible. What if you were shopping for real estate and you could actually like, we're starting to see some of those 3D tours already, but what if you could like see that space before you actually, like, what if you could tour that space without leaving your house? For people with disabilities, for people who have physical ways that you can't travel, these are going to break open ways that have been barriers in the past for a lot of different communities. So we get really excited about what are the opportunities. So a lot of people talk about gaming, but also what about education? So what about in the past where we've always been a very physical community where you've had to go to school? What if somebody, a middle school or high school student was learning about the pyramids of Giza and you could actually like go to Egypt and see them? For me, like that is the reason I got into this. Like if my niece and my nephew or the next generation don't learn about it by actually seeing it and doing it, we've missed the mark on this. This is about education and really seeing and doing. Like I'm speaking to you here because this is the way that I like to communicate and I like to learn, but other people want to see and to do things. So whether it's, you know, seeing the White House or getting to like experience things in real time and do it, that is a new way of travel. That is a new way of education. That is a new way of gameplay. This is what the metaverse could be about.
How many of you have seen some of those shows that they are showing now, or even some things online where you can actually tour a house virtually? Have some of you seen some of those, right? How many of you have tried some glasses on virtually? They actually have those. Yeah, so all of that is that world, right? So it's not just a cool new tech thing. It's actually something that we're going to be able to put into use in real time, in real ways. Talk a little bit, though, about how should we be thinking about? You know, a lot of us in the room, our generation, you know, we're just catching up to what's happening in real time. What should we be thinking about just to prepare to be ready to embrace some of this emerging technology as the metaverse becomes more a part of our world?
Yeah. So it seems really scary and it seems really distant. So there's a couple different things to think about. Number one, the metaverse is still a ways away. So there's this narrative around like, you know, oh, the metaverse isn't real, like it's not going to happen. It is definitely still a ways away. Nobody's wearing AR glasses. It is going to take us a while to get to that AR vision where everyone's popping glasses on their face, and that's going to be the future. We're talking generations. That's okay. But if you look at it, parts of the metaverse are already here today.
That's right.
So whether you're viewing those spaces in 3D, whether you're starting to play in VR, there's going to be a bunch of different form factors that you will be able to access it. As we think about it, there's a whole bunch of ways in which this is creating things all from scratch.
Right,
And so what
right.
if from the very beginning we could redesign the internet and think about equality? What if we could think
That's
about
it.
equity? What if we could build in diversity from the very beginning?
Right.
And this is the opportunity for us to do it. This is what we are looking for. These are the things that we're actually deeply committed to at Meta, and the companies who are at the forefront of building a lot of the metaverse products are actually really thinking about. So although a lot of VR headsets admittedly are not cheap and are not affordable for a lot of people, internet access still a real thing.
Right.
But what if those are some of the barriers we could overcome and rebuild the internet or rebuild the metaverse in such a way that like we could actually build in and reduce some of the barriers of physical distance and reduce some of the barriers of economic disparity, like the way we've been talking about today. This is some of the promise of the metaverse that folks get really excited about and want to invest in at the very beginning. We're in really early days and we've got a couple decades to do it right. Let's do it, let's invest in it, and let's think about it now before it gets ahead of us.
So you're saying that there may come a time that if we can't afford either financially or time to take a trip to Paris, we can just do a day trip to Paris via the metaverse.
Absolutely.
Okay,
What
okay.
if you could travel that way? What if you could do it for fun? But what if you could also do it for real meaningful things?
Sure.
Not just education, but what if you could do work that way? What if like all of a sudden remote work was real meaningful internationally? What if
Right.
we could break down work barriers that way, but also training? Like there's a lot of ways in which like training has been really difficult because the true expert who's the expert in this field only lives in this one area. What if we could make this person available worldwide?
Right.
So the ability for us to crack open things that have never been done on the work front, education, is just so phenomenal that we've really never had before in a 3D immersive way.
Can I ask one more question? Then we will actually show
Absolutely.
something in education.
Let's
Because
do
how
it.
many of you have ever done Wii Fitness? You know, you all remember the game Wii from a few years ago? You know, and some of those are like, you know, all dusted and like underneath a closet now somewhere. But you remember some of that interaction
That's
that we
right.
had? So that was a part of the first wave, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Of what the metaverse is. And so just for the room, because just in case we don't want to hire anybody yet through the metaverse and we don't want to move that far, that fast, how many of you all would at least be willing to exercise with the metaverse because you'd be able to, again, some of you have already done it because you did your Wii Fitness and you played your Wii Tennis and you did your Wii bowling. Am I aging myself? Y'all look my age. You're either a day older or a day younger. We ain't that far apart, right? So, but I think to your point, that's how the metaverse becomes something that connects to us.
That's right.
In the real, kind of the real time, because what you're sharing about generations in future, for us who may want to start thinking about where do we fit in it, that may be a part of it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. There's a phenomenal game on the Oculus Quest called Supernatural.
Yay!
If you are a supernatural person, other supernatural people find each other.
Yeah.
It has a community similar to Peloton.
Yeah.
And a lot the supernatural coaches are like sort of famous. They're rock stars. The way that Peloton coaches are also. It is a phenomenal game if you have the opportunity to play it. Fitness is a huge use case, and there are people over the pandemic who lost a ton of weight. I did not, but other people during the pandemic lost a ton of weight playing Supernatural. So there's fitness. And so while a lot of people talk about, oh, it's a gaming thing, the ability to actually build community is actually a real thing that people are doing. During the pandemic, one of my very good friends met his girlfriend in World of Warcraft.
Wow.
And I was like, for real? They now live together. She moved from Florida. She now lives in the Bay Area, and they are about to get engaged and get married.
Wow.
World of Warcraft. Game that's been around for decades,
right.
But like that's the sort of, and this guy is in his like mid to late 40s. Like this is, I'm not talking about
Is that
like
old?
I'm not.
I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing you.
But my point is that. But I'm not talking about. A teenager or 20-year-old who plays video games.
Right.
Like these games really have the opportunity to build community and meaningful physical world relationships.
Can I jump into the conversation right there? Because you're saying something that really strikes, I think, with this generation.
Yeah.
And I want to be honest with, because I know who's in the room. People can learn things that they have not known.
That's right.
And find out it helps them in ways they did not know they needed.
Absolutely.
And I think that part of what you're sharing, and this is part of the passion, we shared even in the green room prepping, that when people get exposed to something new, they never know how many more doors open up. And talk about that for you, how the metaverse has been that for you, just getting more and more. And I see the smile on your face.
I love this.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. So and part of the reason we talked about this earlier is Mark, my friend Mark, not my friend, but Mark Zuckerberg renamed the company to Meta a year ago, right? And everyone's like, oh, the metaverse is now a thing. I've been a metaverse lawyer now for almost 5.5 years. I've been working on this. I was on a metaverse team, and we're like, nobody can use this word. It's top secret. But we've been working on this for a really, really long time. And no matter if the metaverse is cool or not cool, it's written about, it's not written about, like, we are on this journey for a really long time. We are committed to it. Like, it is a long-term vision.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a metaverse lawyer tomorrow. I was a metaverse lawyer yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I am passionate about it. I, like, love to talk about it. If anybody wants to talk about it after, let's talk about metaverse. But like this is like what gets me really excited. And so who knows, like I got into it because of education. I really deeply believe in the education component to it. I believe in what it's going to open for the next generation of people, not both social connections, but like how do we educate people in a new way that's not just lectures and textbooks? Like how do you create a really immersive experience using the technology that we've talked about today? How do you open new frontiers and ways that people can really learn here? But even just for me, like over the experience of I've been a metaverse lawyer, all of a sudden Mark is going to rename the company. Everyone's very excited about it. And like I'm learning new things every day. So it's been a personal journey for me, and I'm really excited to see how this continues to evolve over the next 5, 10, 15, 30 years.
Show your appreciation for attorney Debbie Rosenbaum. Let me just drop this quick brag point, though. And I'm going to ask everybody to stand up real quick because I know, again, we're talking about metaverse exercise, right? And I think some of the sliders, are starting to settle, and I want to make sure. So hold on, Debbie, don't go anywhere. No, stay here for a second, just a second. So if we're doing our virtual exercises in whatever manner we're going to do, we don't need a lot of space.
No,
we don't have to go to the gym.
That's right.
We don't have to go down the street. We don't have to go to the bar. So we can just stand in place. There's a screen in front of us, and what can we do? We can just start doing this, right?
Yeah, in VR, this is called a stationary boundary.
Come on. Now we're up here doing this. That you mean you're supposed to do it too? We're gonna start with this.
This is typical. You can do some hitting, some kickboxing, right? Right?
Don't hit anybody in front of you.
Yeah, this is great.
Those are the kind of things,
This is great.
Right?
Yeah, some in-place boxing.
Right.
Right. This is great.
So this is what. So what you're doing now is what you'll be able to do when you decide to bring the metaverse into your world.
That's
right.
right.
Some love to Debbie again. Thank you all.
Guys, thank you.
All right. We have a display to show you, though. We want to make this really real for you because tonight was about gathering the family, sharing some stories, presenting some awards, but also showing the kind of work we're doing. And one of the things that we've been able to do in the metaverse with education, with Push Excel, and we're going to ask Bernard, you and Jerome, all the way from Chicago. They're part of our Push Excel program. Show some love to these guys as they come on up. Bernard Key and Jerome Dishman, come on, we're just going to stand here for a second because what I want to do is just ask you all a question because, and I know, thank you all, I see you cued the video. Give me 30 seconds with these guys. Talk a little bit about what is happening in education. Both of you have an educational bent and an educational commitment. Talk a little bit about what the metaverse is meaning for you all to kind of use that tool to educate and how you're investing as a part of our Push Excel. Go ahead, Jerome.
First off, I want to thank you for hosting us. My name is Jerome Dishman. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I was recruited through Push, through my partner here, Bernard Key. My background is I've been doing technology for over 15 years, and it's been a great career. And I had a mentor that really took me under his wing because he was in the technology field. My parents couldn't help me. William Blocker, if you ever see this video, I love you and I appreciate you for that.
Right.
It was life-changing. Fast forward, 2013, I co-founded Blue 1647 in Chicago.
All right.
It was the first black tech incubator accelerator in the city of Chicago.
Can you say that one more time, a little louder and a little slower? Let them all hear it. Let them all hear it.
The first black tech incubator accelerator in Chicago.
Come on, show your love. Come on.
So throughout that journey, met tons of amazing people, and that's how me and Bernard became friends and currently working together to bring and create the Technology Center basically for Push.
Thank you so much. And Bernard, you have an education background and you have shifted some of your energy and resources into this space. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Pastor Brian. Yes.
Well, the audience out there can hear you on the mic too. So we,
okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me loud?
Oh, the room will hear you.
Oh, the room back there.
Oh
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. We got stuff going in here.
Thank you for having me, Pastor
You're not just
Brian.
talking to the room. That's right.
Thank you for having me. Jerome here has not shared the story of Blue 1647. It's a TV ready for movie time.
Mm-hmm.
We were raided by the police because we had so many black people learning. Cops would come in with guns drawn and just see black, brown people doing coding.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So from that, by day, I am a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, let's hear it for the teachers.
Yeah. And I assigned my kindergarten to watch this for extra credit. And they know all about the metaverse.
What your kids are watching?
Yes, my Kindle workforce. That's what I call them. I don't call them kindergarten kids.
The Kindle workforce?
The Kindle workforce.
All right, the Kindle yes. All right, and what school is it?
This is Prairie Hill STEAM Academy.
Prairie Hill.
STEAM Academy.
Can you all say Prairie Hill? STEAM Academy. Welcome. Make some noise for them.
Yes. So I decided to quit teaching when my son graduated from high school, got a scholarship at Ohio State University, Emmanuel. He will be here on January 2nd doing an internship at Accenture. And so I gave him an internship to assist you with your tech. He's a coding guy.
Thank you.
And he runs the NASB of Ohio State. So what I decided to do, Pastor Wilson always tell me that I'm long-winded. So I told her, well, I will create a video that tells everything about.
Well, let's look at the video then.
Yes,
Let's step over here and look at the video.
And in this video, you are going to see Pastor Wilson. You're going to see artwork from one of my students, Eric January, from Howard University. He is a famous, soon-to-be famous artist. He's a part of Nike Forerunners, and his artwork was featured at the All-Star Game. I started a lot of artwork, NFT prototypes, so the pictures, the stuff you see is on sale.
Come on over here. Come on over here so we can watch.
The sound should be coming up with Pastor Wilson making a introduction about our STEM. What's happening? This is a video of Pastor Wilson, and this is how that you can incorporate.
There she is.
Contact, yes.
What I want to talk about is Push for Excellence and why you and your children and even you personally should be involved with Push Excel.
That's me sitting
We
down.
are the education entity of all of the Push entities. We provide technical education, we provide STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, education. We provide professional development for educators, particularly in teaching educators how to use the new technology to teach with. We have a virtual African American history curriculum, which allows teachers and students to be immersed in learning our history and how we have impacted American history, how it is we go from Africa to 1619, and from 1619 throughout the years of slavery, through Reconstruction, through Jim Crow, through the lynching years, and how our students of all cultures and races can see the investment African Americans have made in the history of America. So that's one thing that we have. It's part of our Saturday educational project. Every Saturday we are open to teach our young people African American history. We also have an oratorical program for elementary students. We help our young people learn to speak correctly, how to engage in dialogue using the historic speeches of many African Americans.
What I did here was walk around to give you an idea of how the metaverse could be utilized with artwork, music, content of all types of nature, even church services I stream. So I definitely want to talk to churches on how to stream the services through STEM State Chicago.
To see who wins the oratorical contest. And so we want you, wherever you are, you can have your young people, because we teach it virtually, participate in our oratorical program. We have the capacity with our STEM program to have young people learn all sorts of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. How they can also learn that virtually, but in Chicago, you can bring your young people to our national headquarters, and they will become immersed in this technology. They will become engaged in this technology. They begin to see how this technology works in the workplace, in school, how it will help them think differently, see the world differently. And so what are we teaching? I know you're wondering, what is it that your child, your student, your neighbor can get if they're enrolled in the Push Excel STEM program? Well, they'll understand how science is in every facet of our lives. They will understand how technology impacts us at home, at school, in community, at church. Everywhere you go, we're impacted by technology. And so they will begin to see this technology and be able to use it, program it, not just buy it and play with it. They will learn how technology shapes everything that we do. One of the things that they will learn in our STEM program is how to program computers, how to program robots. They will learn about flying drones. So we may have some young people that want to become pilots. Some young people say, well, I want to work in air traffic control. They will learn all of that in our STEM program. This summer, we're launching our esports curriculum. And what does esports mean? It means they will learn driving, they will learn engineering, they will learn how cars really function, they will learn a lot about reading maps, understanding fuel, so they will get better in math. They'll be much better in analyzing things. They will learn team building, because we're building pit crews who will be racing esports like NASCAR virtually. We have cars that have steering wheels that they will build, so they will understand the construction of the automobiles that they ride in, that their parents drive. And then we are pushing our young people into this engineering space, into this technology space. We're teaching robotics, we're teaching esports, we're teaching digital media. Young people want to make music, we'll teach them how to do music digitally, how to be creative. And then, I know you're wondering, we're going to do metaverse. What does that mean? They will learn this new universe that's virtual, where they can host virtual parties, much safer than going out. They can host virtual events, much safer and much cheaper than having to.
Hey, you know something? Don't laugh, because I host Chicago house music parties in here, and I get people from Morocco, Spain, California, who love Chicago house music. And I even met a couple of business partners through here.
And I know you're saying, you just talking, well, I want to show you what we're offering to your young people. Watch this.
I'm actually going to be a facilitator and coach, driving coach for the STEM program here at PUSH. And what my role is going to be is to help the students to learn the engineering aspect of building the sim for which they're going to be driving. Also, we're going to be teaching them how to drive, the aspects of racing, the fundamentals of racing, and how to teach them to compete at esports and sim racing. Everything they get involved in at an early age makes it easier and more engaging for them to assume and to learn. But with the esport driving aspect, it will allow them to, number one, appreciate driving, to bring together some of the things that they've seen with their parents driving, and how they can learn and attribute that towards doing something a little bit more fun, a little bit more exciting, which is driving. A lot of folks that look like us don't think that they can become a part of that, which we're bringing to them, the aspect that they can. They can not only compete, that they can thrive and survive and become winners and champions and do things more in the driving arena. Bernard Key in the program, they're going to be learning aspects of metaverse. They're going to be learning about the usage of NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. We're going to be teaching them about financial literacy, which is very important in our youth.
Yeah, so man, I don't want to bore you guys, but that's my whole program. And especially the esports, and I want to work with Pastor Bryant, because NASCAR Street Race is coming up here July 1st and 2nd. And we have a whole STEM curriculum in collaboration with NASB. Mr. Nichols, I definitely want to talk to you if he's still in the room. Yeah. No, there you go. I definitely want to, NASB brother. And my son is also a Region 4 coordinator for NASB, and he will be here. And his job is to find corporations to participate in NASB 50 annual convention next March. So I want to have as many teams from Silicon Valley as well as Chicago to take all the STEM competitions in NASB, because my kids are known for winning all the robotics, every STEM competition. They're famous. All the chapters know them, and they are my mentors that's going to help Pastor Bryant start his NASB chapter this summer.
We're going to give you a run for your money. We're not going to let Chicago take all the awards. But we are thankful that you all flew out here to be a part of this, and we are really excited to see what's happening in the metaverse space through this type of initiative. And thank you, Jerome, for just launching 1647. And thank you, Bernard, for your passion to give back to our kids, to empower them in these ways. These are educational tools. They're both being very humble, but these tools are actually being used as field trips, as museum sites, and other educational experiences for kids. They are mastering this in Chicago, so we got to bring it to the Bay. But can you show some love to our brothers Jerome and Bernard? Thank you guys so much. They'll be sharing a little bit more tomorrow, And I'm very grateful for them coming out, being here. And I'm very, very grateful for all of you. We have one more award to give, and that's why I'm back over here at the podium in my official location, so I can give one more award tonight. And so many wonderful partners that we've had over the years, and we're going to thank all of our sponsors, obviously, for your contributions, for your support of our conference. But I'm very, very grateful for Airbnb. And Airbnb, they have been an amazing collaborator with us. They have had such a heart to work with Rainbow Push, not only through our Push Tech work, but they've invested in some of our initiatives throughout the pandemic. They assisted Headquarters when Headquarters was doing a diaper drive at the end of the year to help mothers that didn't have funds and didn't have ways and resources to provide diapers for their children. They invested in some of those initiatives. They assisted us with a lot of our emerging technology over the years. And I'm thankful because driving those initiatives and collaborations and partnerships is an amazing woman who leads a part of the world of Airbnb, but her resume is so vast, it's so complete with all the work she's done in advocating for women, all the work she's done in civil rights and social justice with not only Rainbow Push, with NAM and Reverend Al Sharpton. And now we are just grateful to be able to present to her this award. Thank you. Give it up for Joy Bryant, y'all. Officially, this award is being given to her, and it's because of her position at Airbnb as a director of 21st Century Community Initiatives, but really it's because she has such a passion to build our people, empower our people, and open doors for our people. And she has unapologetically done it at every turn. And so this 2023 Corporate Leadership Award presented to Janae Ingram in recognition for and gratitude for visionary leadership, resulting in significant impact within your company while also utilizing your internal position to have external impact, shaping the climate within your organization to achieve meaningful progress and measurable growth. This day, May 8th, 2023, presented by Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, founder and president of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Ladies and gentlemen, my sister, Miss Janae Ingram. Gotta get our pictures. Yeah. Thank you so much. We're going to have a quick chat because I'm thankful for you coming all the way from the East Coast.
Yes, New Jersey.
And yeah, well, I wasn't going to shout it out for you. I was going to let you shout it out.
I'm proud.
I know.
Girl.
Camden in the house. I got you. All of that. I got you. But talk a little bit about the fact that before you even got involved in this work with Airbnb, you were already an advocate. You were already just and as youthful and as energetic as you've been all these years. You went to college down there in the South somewhere. Where'd you go to college?
Clark Atlanta University.
All right, yeah.
Okay, yes.
But literally ever since then, you've been on the front lines everywhere you could be. Talk a little bit about that part of your beginnings and that passion point that started you on this path.
Yeah, well, I started my career in corporate America, in a different aspect of corporate America, working in Medicaid insurance. And there was something about it that didn't connect with me. Mm-hmm. And I sought out an opportunity to go and become an AmeriCorps Vista. So any AmeriCorps folks in the room, shout out to you all. Oh, okay, one right here. No, everybody else is like, what's that? It's kind of like Peace Corps, but in the United States.
Right,
so think of it that way. But I did that, and I realized I could have a career in the nonprofit sector. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was an unlock, because it really allowed me to sort of pivot from this role that I didn't fully connect with into the advocacy work that I think is so important. Mm-hmm. And that led me to National Action Network with Reverend Sharpton, which again was another unlock. I think I had always been an activist in my heart, I remember staging my very first walkout as a 13-year-old in freshman in high school because they didn't celebrate Black History Month. They wanted to turn it into Multicultural Awareness Month, and I was like, this is an affront to me because I don't get to celebrate my heritage, and it's an affront to everyone else who only gets, you know, this 1 week. So in any case, it was a pivotal moment for me to be able to step into this role at National Action Network. And that was, you know, the moments where I got to meet legends like Reverend Jackson and be up close with him and march with him. From we did a march from Selma to Montgomery as a reckoning a few years, well, not a few years ago now, I guess it was 10, 15 years ago, where we were really trying to highlight some of the issues that the original march was highlighting and bring voter equity to the forefront of the conversation. And then I never imagined that I could find myself back in corporate America. And it wasn't until Laura Murphy, who will be speaking tomorrow virtually with me, she was, you know, working with Airbnb. She was consulting with Airbnb, and she asked me, I had left National Action Network, she asked me, would you ever consider working in tech? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, Laura. But in the back of my mind, it was kind of like, I don't see myself in tech. I don't see a place for me to exist. This activist, I had at the time was working on the Women's March, the original Women's March. And so it was kind of like, I see myself more in the civil rights space. Like that's my next step, is after this march, I'm gonna focus on, you know, continuing those efforts. And when I started to learn about Airbnb, I really found a company that I connected with, that had a mission, that had values, that really aligned with mine. And at the time, they were confronted with some challenges. Airbnb While Black was something that people were learning about, and the company itself was learning about and grappling with. And they leaned all the way in. They didn't look at it as a PR moment. And for me, that was a real game changer because I could see myself in a corporate setting, but my whole activist self being at in a corporate setting and being welcomed as that activist version of me. So that was an opportunity, and I do want to just shout out my Airbnb colleagues who are here tonight. Please stand up. I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask you to stand up.
Airbnb.
We have amazing folks. We have Alika Devaye Rash, who is our head of diversity and belonging. We have Ariel, pronounce your last name. Ajagu. We have Madhu. I don't even know Madhu's last name. Soundarajan. And we have Irina. Say your name. Asu.
Wonderful. Let's
Irina's on my team.
Wonderful.
And these folks are from our diversity and belonging and the head of some of our employee resource groups. So I want to acknowledge them because I want to say that as I do this work, it is an important work, and I'm here tonight receiving this corporate award, but this work is not done in solitude. It is done in collaboration and in partnership with teammates and colleagues and people who really support and believe in the values and the mission that the company has had. And so it was because of people like these people in this room today that I could see myself at this company, and that I've been there for 6 years now. So
amazing.
Amazing journey.
Wonderful, wonderful. I just have to go back really quickly. You mentioned a women's march that you were a part of.
Oh, a little women's march.
A little women's march. Back east somewhere, right? Where was it held?
Well, it was held globally.
Yeah, okay.
It was held globally, but it was the main part of the march was in Washington, D.C.
And you are, and she's not going to say it, but she is the official co-founder of the Women's March. Can you show your love for her for that? And so even in watching your advocacy and then hearing how you have brought that into Airbnb, what a powerful use of your platform. Talk a little bit about how you've navigated that, because I think it's significant. And that's why I wanted to acknowledge, you know, again, you work with Reverend Sharpton, you're working with us, you've done all these wonderful things, leading the Women's March. But now back in corporate, you've brought all of that to the table. That's not very common, nor is it navigated as well as you have done it. What has been some of the, aside from the amazing team that you have, what are some of the key points that you have utilized in your mindset to go down that path back in corporate?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great question. And I think part of what has allowed me to navigate this space is a willingness from our leadership to value the relationships that we have with civil rights organizations.
Right.
And I know that for now, in 2023, there's a lot of companies that will say that after 2020.
Right, right.
We were doing it before 2020.
That's right. That's
and
right.
I think that for me is, again, the differentiator. It's not to shame anyone else who came to that realization in 2020, because I'm glad that they got there. But there was a willingness from the top to engage with civil rights leaders. And to be completely honest, I was brought in to sort of take over where my boss, Clark Stevens, had done the work before I got there. And Laura Murphy, again, she still works with the company, had done the work of guiding our company to convening with civil rights leaders.
That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
continue that work even now. I mean, we just had our most recent civil rights roundtable at the end of last year as we were embarking on sharing the news publicly about our Project Lighthouse findings. And so for those of you who don't know, Project Lighthouse is an initiative that we created in 2020. We launched it in 2020. We really took years to build it. But in 2020, we launched this initiative that is really about measuring the different experiences that people on our platform have based on perceived race.
Right.
And perceived race is important.
Come on.
Because on our platform, you don't know another user's race. You are perceiving them to be something or another.
Right.
And so it mimics the experience that people will have on the platform, but it allows us to measure the disparities that exist amongst users on our platform. And we found, unfortunately, there is a disparity that exists between Black users and other users of color and white users. But that information, sharing that information publicly, one, it allows us to be accountable. But two, it also helps us to be able to create solutions that can narrow and hopefully eliminate that gap altogether.
Right.
And so, you know, we had that meeting with civil rights leaders, but civil rights organizations are right there with us.
Right.
You all were a key partner of ours in 2020 when we went public, in helping us ensure that we had minority companies that were at the table as we went public. We had 12 companies who were part of us going public, who they themselves and their companies and all of the people that worked for them also benefited from us going public. So it's these types of initiatives that really, I think, again, separate, I don't want to say separate, but for me, make a personal difference for the company that I can work at and show up every day and know that when I give my all and when I speak and I bring the voices of the civil rights community to the table, that they're being heard and they're being valued.
Right, right, absolutely, absolutely. That's wonderful. And one of the things that I want to just highlight, and you're going to have a chance to share a lot more tomorrow on the panel, but I think it's important because not everybody uses Airbnb. Right? I mean, Airbnb is a wonderful service, wonderful tool, but not everybody uses it. But one of the things that I learned, even in those first meetings that we had, 2017-ish, you all were looking to set a new trend as a business and as a company that really wasn't about whether you rent somebody's house on vacation. It really wasn't about whether or not you found an address that you liked or a price that you liked. There was something else happening behind the scenes or something else in the mindset of the company that I think you helped to bring forth, and that was setting standards that had nothing to do with renting a house. It had everything to do with equality. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's what stands out for us. And even as I was talking about this award for you, those things stand out, and that's universal. It doesn't matter what the company is. Every company can take that mindset of, we need to make sure these things are fair, just, and equal. Talk a little bit about that direction and path.
Yeah, and I just want to say hi, Bruce.
Butch.
I'm sorry, Butch. I'm having a I'm jet lagged moment, so forgive me, Butch Wing. I know your name, Butch Wing. Butch over there in the corner, who has been right alongside me for a lot of this work, and I've gotten the opportunities to work with. It's great to see you. We also, Butch was at that march where we marched from Selma to Montgomery, right along there with us. So Butch, I've known Butch before I was even at Airbnb. But I think what you're talking about in terms of creating a model of equity and creating standards of equity internally, it is important that it hits every aspect of your business. And I think, you know, there is a lot of focus on the internal aspects, which wholeheartedly matter, that wholly matter,
Right.
because we want to make sure that, as we're talking about here today, that people have access to the opportunity to work at these tech companies, to be in leadership at these tech companies.
That's right.
But the other aspect of that equity conversation is ensuring that people in the community have access to make a decision about whether or not they want to be a host or want to be a guest. And coming in very early on, one of the things that we really wanted to lean into was, how do we get this conversation started about ensuring that people of color can be hosts on Airbnb, and that they're thinking about that economic unlock that exists from tapping into your home as the thing that most of us will spend most of our money on, and really leveraging that for financial independence.
Yes.
Helping to pay off some of your bills. That was something that we really wanted to make sure that that was part of the conversation, that it wasn't and exclusively just part of how can we get people in the door, but how can we ensure that people are becoming part of the larger economy?
That's right.
And ensuring that people have those opportunities. So that's something that, you know, my team and I have spent a lot of time focusing on, and it's something that will continue. We know that this is a holistic conversation.
Right.
It's not just one aspect over the other. It is, how do we get people in every aspect of the conversation, including supplier diversity, which I didn't mention, but that also has to be at the table.
As I told you before, you have one of the coolest titles, though, Director of 21st Century Community Initiatives, and you are cracking all types of doors open and making sure that we all move through the 21st century, getting better and better. And you're doing it from a corporate seat, and you're using your position to impact and really set a standard for all of us. Can you all show your love for Janae Ingram? Come on. I do want to take a moment to again thank Cisco for opening your doors, and this event is, again, tonight's kickoff was important for us. Tonight's Keep Hope Alive kickoff was very important to us, just to gather you all together. We're going to have more people tomorrow. It's going to be a bigger crowd. We're going to be in a more formal space, the auditorium over in Building 9. But tonight was really important, just to get together, to share our journeys together, to reconnect with each other, look each other in the face again for the first time in the same space at the same time, unmasked, and being able to show how much we appreciate so many folks in the room that have done so many wonderful things. All of the companies, all of the partners, all the community organizations. I was just excited watching you in the mezzanine as you interacted and reconnected, people who haven't seen each other in a long time. So I want to thank Cisco for providing this opportunity to us. Can you all show your love for our good friend and brother, Mr. Brian Tippins? Brian, would you stand? I know you're not on to speak, but we can't leave without having you come forward. Brian has been an amazing partner with us, and I know this is very impromptu. I know you have some things to do tomorrow, but we're here because what we do has meant so much to you. You've opened up your heart in your new space, giving us access to amazing folks like Maida and others on your team, Mispa, wherever she is. This team has been phenomenal. I'm going to say it tomorrow 3 or 4 times, but Brian, you have a wonderful team of folks that work alongside you, and tonight has been first class from A to Z. Thank you for opening your doors. Thank you for helping us to kick off this year's event and to keep hope alive. Show your love one more time for Brian.
Can I tell a 2-minute story?
Oh, that's why you got the mic.
Just a 2-minute
I'll
story.
give you 4 minutes because we're in your house, brother.
No, because I don't want to make remarks, and I know we've got a game to watch, so I'll just speak for about an hour. So, no, it's great to have you here. It's a special calm, right? You all, my family home's in Houston, Texas. I work here in the Valley, but we host events at my family house. My wife and I will host the family for Easter or for Christmas, and we'll get 60, 70 people sometimes. And you do all the work to prepare. You make the fried chicken and gumbo and etouffee and all that stuff, and you want to make sure that the chairs are set out. But when everybody gets there and they're enjoying themselves, it's a special calm where you know you've done your job. And so that's what I'm feeling right now, having my family here. So thank you for joining me in my home. And this time, all I had to do was buy the groceries, write the check. I didn't have to do any actual work. My team did all the work, including Maida. Please stand.
Maida!
And the rest of the Cisco team. Please, all the Cisco team, please stand.
Cisco, stand
as
up.
We welcome you to our home. And I'll leave with that. Just happy that you're here and happy that you'll all be with us tomorrow to continue to fellowship. And I'm just glad we're able to continue to do this great work.
Thank you, Brian. Show him your love again. Come on, everybody. As he said, we will be back tomorrow, and we're looking forward to a great, great day. As I shared throughout, we're going to have some panel conversations. We're going to dig a little deeper tomorrow. Again, tonight was a family gathering. Tomorrow, we'll talk a little business tomorrow. We'll get into diversity, equity, and inclusion. We'll have some conversations about the audits that have been done with some of our partners, some of the companies that have done some really significant work assessing internally where they are and what is happening and how we can make everything better together. We're going to talk about some of the dynamics that are happening around us because of the pandemic coming out of George Floyd, some of the conversations and commitments that have been fulfilled and some that have not been fulfilled by some of the companies over these past several years. And then as we'll continue to talk about emerging technology and the opportunities, we'll also talk about how we together can do some great things. And so tomorrow's going to be wonderful. We're going to start at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow. And so I'm going to ask you, please, whoever you're cheering for tonight, win or lose, don't stay up too late. And believe me, we're going to be so fortunate tomorrow to have one of the Bay Area's most phenomenal voices that many of us arise to every day as it is, and that is from KTVU, Mr. Dave Clark, who is here tonight, him and his beautiful wife. And so, you know, I don't know if he's working tomorrow, but I appreciate him being here tonight. He has an early day, every morning on KTVU. We get a chance to see his face and really to hear, you know, Brian talked about that the calmness of his voice to bring us into our day. Dave has been a gift, and he's going to be emceeing our event tomorrow. So we're very excited and very grateful for him and really for he and his wife coming down tonight as well. This is something that means a lot to Dave. He's interviewed Reverend Jackson over the years. Every year we have the Push Tech event. We show up there bright and early in the dark, about 5 a.m. to be at KTVU so that we can have the moments to interview about this event. And so thank you for taking the time. We're going to look forward to tomorrow. Again, to all of our partners, all of our sponsors, to all of our collaborators, we want to thank Urban Advantage Television for providing our virtual setting, our drones. That's William Hammonds. Again, you know, I'm aging because he has a daughter that I taught in elementary school 20 years ago, who's now a corporate leader herself. And so I'm just grateful for full circle moments all the way around. These kind of things mean so much to our faith community that's here. I see we have some pastors here, some of our faith leaders. Thank you all for being here as well. Reverend Jackson, as you recall, one of the things that we started was called Faith Tech, and he wanted to make sure that the faith community was connected to technology. And really because of that, a whole lot of church folks could learn how to be online and shout from home during the pandemic. And that's because of Reverend Jackson. And we want to give a special shout out to the San Francisco African American Faith-Based Coalition, because not only did they have church, they connected with the city and county of San Francisco to provide a communication network for the entire black community of San Francisco during the pandemic to find out about COVID testing, about the vaccines, about mental health services, resources and transportation, as well as food security. So a huge shout out to the San Francisco African American Faith-Based Coalition. Thank you all for setting the trend. Last but not least, I want to make sure that as we conclude our program tonight, again, this is a Keep Hope Alive event, and we are going to show one last video. Before that video, though, I'm so grateful to have with us here, not only as the acting National Executive Director of Rainbow Push, but also here representing Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. This is someone who, and it's amazing to me because when he tells the story, he may not even tell it tonight, but he's actually known Reverend Jackson for almost 4 decades. And when you hear him speak, when you hear him talk and articulate the vision of PUSH, Bishop Tavis Grant truly has Reverend Jackson's heart. He really has Reverend Jackson's spirit, and we're so grateful to have him continuing to help us stay aligned with Reverend Jackson's legacy and leadership going forward as Reverend Jackson continues to deal with and navigate his health at this juncture of his life. We're grateful for the leadership that's being provided, but he's here tonight from Chicago to say to us that this matters to Rainbow Push because he's here to continue to make sure that we're keeping hope alive, and we're grateful. Can we show our love and appreciation and welcome Bishop Tavis Grant?
Well, let's give all of our honorees a round of applause one more time tonight. Come on, this has been an amazing afternoon. Our host, Brian Tippins from Cisco. Come on, make us noise, Cisco team. And our executive director, Dr. Joseph Bryant. And the one and only Butch Wing. You know, I talked to Reverend Jackson this morning, and this is one of his passions to be here in the Bay Area and be a part of this conference. And he is watching streaming, and it is a new world for him. This whole idea of not leaving your home and being around the world at the same time. He has circled the world on so many occasions, and yet it is an honor and very humbling to serve in this capacity. Dr. Bryant talked, I started on the west side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago, home of the Bulls, not playing tonight, but a African-American leader came to my high school and had a compelling message, and that message was, I am somebody. And I was sitting here beside Brian, and the auditorium was almost a setting like this, and I so happened to be a junior in high school sitting on the front row, and this guy's got a medallion around his neck with an afro saying, I am somebody. And having spent time up for adoption and being reunited with my biological father, it was life-changing from a black male hearing a black man say, I am somebody. I caught the bus and a train from the west side of Chicago to 50th and Drexel, where we call it Dr. King's Workshop. And in this humongous auditorium, I saw hundreds of people chanting these words, I am somebody. And 4 decades later, I'm able to serve beside him in this amazing opportunity called the Rainbow Push Coalition. This is our 8th conference, and one of the things that Reverend Jackson has talked about is economic justice. African Americans now represent $1.5 trillion in a buying power. We have the first generation now. 50% have lived their lives in the digital age, smartphones, smart TVs, and such. We're growing at such an accelerated pace that in just the tech sector alone, we're talking about $350 billion in tech wages by 2030. And yet, we represent 12% of the population, and we own 8% of the tech workforce, only 3% of C-suite leadership. And so tomorrow when we talk about audits, we're really talking about opportunity, growth, and accentuating the work that civil rights has done for the past 50 years. You look at the impact of technology, inclusive technology, creating platforms, creating systems and software that address the very needs that we have. You know, if you look at this last election and all the back and forth about voter suppression and what have you, the fact of the matter is technology did 2 things. it increased registration, and it improved turnout. And the results speak for themselves. And so we have a vested interest in this space of technology, science, engineering, and math because it is the future that we've all worked for, marched for, and hoped for. You look at the idea of streaming, and many of us will leave here this evening and try to catch up on some on-demand programming. Streaming for African Americans is so phenomenal that streaming has taken hip-hop and rap and soul, neo-soul to the top of the music genre as the most watched, listened to music in the entire world. So we have a phenomenal opportunity for growth, phenomenal opportunity for transformation, and equally so, a means of making sure that intentional diversity, inclusion, and equity happens everywhere. Reverend Jackson has this saying that you can plant a seed today, but you can't pick the fruit tomorrow. And that is because to everything there is a season. At this conference, these 2 days, we're going to find out this is our season for transformation, this is our season for innovation, and this is our season for change. And I want to thank you for helping us keep hope alive.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Stay up here with us, Bishop. Stay up here with us. Again, we are so grateful, and as we close out the program, we're going to do a couple of things, and I want you all to bear witness. First of all, again, tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp, please. I know tip-off is in 14 minutes. I'm just counting down. 9 a.m. sharp. Don't miss it tomorrow. 9 a.m. sharp. And I'm going to say more about them tomorrow, but I want to thank the Push Tech team that has worked along with the Cisco team to put on the conference. We want to just show some love to them. They're spread out everywhere, but let me just thank them. One of our collaborative efforts earlier this year during Black History Month was with a young man named Patrick Hunter, who is a STEM teacher, but he's also a creative genius. And I must say that unapologetically, simply because of the work that he's been able to do in honoring Black history through technology, art, music, and some of the most ingenious methods that he's been able to engage. And I'm so thankful. And come on up, Patrick. He happens to be here tonight. And you may have seen him. There's a little video of him, and he actually hung out with some NBA people. He was encouraged NBA folks. He did something for the G League to honor Black history, and he does these types of experiences where he captures history. And in Black History Month this year with the Wisconsin Herd, he had a program called Be the Light, Black History Month celebration. He spent a whole day teaching young people about STEM. He also taught them about some artistic things that they could do creatively. But in the midst of all that, he also decided to make some basketball jerseys. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about what you created, because we want to hear it straight from you, because you got something really nice to show us right now.
Yes, I know there's 3 minutes, so I'll be quick. There's a question I ask when I go in rooms quite often, and that is, how many people feel creative?
Creative. There you go.
Okay, that's better than most rooms. But I got to admit that in the first grade rooms, 100% of the hands go up. And I would say that the difference between them and us is creative confidence. And so when I was a young kid coming up in Detroit, I met a fork in the road where I had to decide between the left brain and the right brain. And I decided to go and get a career in engineering and computer science, where I work in a tech company even today. But that was a decision that, I have to be honest, I took it out of fear. I didn't believe that I could be an artist. I didn't believe I can be, take on this life of purpose. But it is now why I go into the classrooms and help kids to not make that decision and that fork in the road. Mm-hmm. And I'm a believer that a half a brain is a terrible thing to waste.
Come on now.
So with that, I started STEAM Revolt, which is a program to help students find their creativity, confidence, or keep it rather, and use that through hands-on projects. So with partnering with the NBA G League, and I have a message from the president of the Wisconsin Herd, which is the Milwaukee Bucks team. And so this is, Dear Reverend Jesse Jackson, We're extremely honored and humbled at your generosity to allow us to share your story and experiences in the fight to improve human rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We truly appreciate the ability to honor a living legend like yourself that has such a pivotal impact on our country's history to help us move forward with hope and not backwards with fear and division. Thank you for allowing us to use your image in our Black History Month activation. Please enjoy the jersey and know that you're number one in our hearts.
Is Reverend Jackson's nephew, I know I saw him, Jesse Jones, is he still here? Okay, all right.
While he's coming, I'll just explain the jersey really quickly.
All right, yeah, show us the jersey, man.
As a STEAM advocate, I made sure that the jersey was not only artistic,
Come on
but
now.
also engineering. So the patterns are circuit board designs, and the circuit boards have a kente cloth type design to really be a STEAM representation. So with that, on behalf of the Wisconsin Herd Milwaukee Bucks G League team, we want to honor you with this jersey that has Reverend Jackson's artwork on the side.
Hold that up, John. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Let them see Reverend Jackson's face on the front of the jersey. There you go.
It is the same piece of artwork that's on the outside, so if you haven't seen it, make sure you see it before you leave.
Come on, let's show our love for Patrick. And let me just say, and I wanted, thank you, man. Thank you so much. One of the reasons I wanted, Jesse, just slide over this way a little bit. This is Jesse Jones, and let me just say about Jesse, I'm glad you're here, and we're going to close with this, because he has his uncle's name, but he also has his uncle's passion, and so part of the reason why he's a part of this presentation is because he is a hip-hop marketing genius entrepreneur himself, and we are going to make sure that this type of artwork, along with Patrick's wonderful work, is expanded from this year being in the G League. We're going to work collaboratively to make sure that that work and his initiative in Black History Month is going to be part of the NBA itself for their All-Star Weekend. So we thank God for you. Now, before we go, we got one more last thing. This is a Keep Hope Alive event, right? So we need to hear you all say it real quick. Here we go. We got to do the whole thing as much as we can, right? So they'll get up and lean up a little bit. Some of y'all leaning back. I know so that salad was good. Some of y'all had more than one drink tonight, so please be careful. Lean back a little bit and say, I am somebody. I am somebody. Respect me. Protect me. Never neglect me. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Now scream. That was pretty good. And since Reverend Jackson isn't here to do it himself, we've got somebody on the screen that's going to do it. This will be the end of our program. And after that, you all can make sure that
but you keep on dreaming, young America. Dream of peace. Peace.
Make some noise in the room, everybody. God bless you. God keep you. We will see you First thing tomorrow, take some pictures, have some refreshments. Make sure you go by the Step and Repeat, get your shots. Make sure to hashtag Keep Hope Alive and tag Rainbow Push. But God bless you. Be safe. We'll see you in the morning.
Greetings. My name is Bradley Holt. I am 4 years old. I will be reciting for you an excerpt from the Keep Hope Alive speech delivered by the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. Tonight, we pause and give praise and honor to God for being good enough to allow us to be at this place at this time. When I look out at this conviction, I see the face of America. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We are all precious in God's sight. The real Rainbow Coalition. All of us who are here think that we are seated, but we are really standing on someone's shoulders. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. must feel good as he looks down upon us. We see here together a rainbow, a coalition. The sons and daughters of slave masters and the sons and daughters of slaves sitting here together around a common table. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. But it wasn't born in you. You can make it. Wherever you are tonight, you can make it. Hold your head high, stick your chest out, you can make it. It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Don't you surrender. Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. Keep hope alive, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. Thank you.